Okay, I'm just going to show you how to clean your guitar. So this is a lovely old guitar, but it's a little bit dirty. So you've got some dust here. We've got this grime all inside these frets. This is basically dead human skin from years of the fingers rubbing off on the strings, and of course it just sticks to the fretboard. We have to be very careful when we clean the fretboard, because if you put too many harsh chemicals on it, it'll dry the fretboard out and damage it. So I'm just going to show you how to do that nice and easily. First thing you want to do really is just see if you can clean it just using some hot water. So not boiling, but just hot to the touch. And give it a bit of a scrub with a toothbrush. So I've got my toothbrush here, dip it in the water, and come over the guitar, and you've got to hold the guitar with your other hand, but I'm videoing, so this might move. Apologies. And you just give it a gentle scrub, swirling motions, and we're basically just getting the dust off doing this. There's no chemical here, so all this set old finger grub, probably going to need to use a bit of dishwashing detergent. But we have to be very careful. Don't use too much. If you use too much, you will dry it out. So this is how much I'm going to use. Just got this dishwashing detergent. Just going to put a couple of drops. Seriously, just a tiny bit, really small. Alright, just that much. Stir it in, mix it in, get a couple of bubbles. That's all we need. Go back to it again, give it a good scrub. Try and get inside the frets with the toothbrush. Of course you want to use an old toothbrush, not a new one. That would not be nice. Yucky. So make sure you use an old one. We save our toothbrushes at home, so we can do these kinds of cleaning jobs with all kinds of stuff around the house. And you want to give that a go, and maybe come back and look at it, let it dry, because it's a bit hard to tell how clean it is when it's wet. So come back in a bit and we'll see how clean it is. And if it needs a bit more, just give it another go. You can also use a Scotch-Brite. You've just got to be careful on the varnish finish on the back here. You don't want to scratch the varnish up. And it's the same method. You just dip the Scotch-Brite in and give it a scrub. The next thing we'll look at is how do you clean the body. Now the body you can actually just clean with a cloth. You can just dust it off. Or you can use some sort of body cleaning liquid. I really like, not to pick a favourite brand, but this is what I use. There are quite a few brands out there. I do like this brand because their fretboard oil lubricates the fretboard really well, and it's kind of a natural product, so it doesn't do any damage. You can get lemon oil, but there's an acids inside lemon oil that isn't good for the fretboard. So I'm going to give it a bit of a dust off, and then I'll give this a spray. You can actually, just to control the spray better, spray it in the cloth and then rub the cloth on. That way you're not getting spray everywhere, which, if you don't really want spray on the inside, then spray into the cloth instead. Might do that now. See, it's got a bit moist. Now I'm just going to go around in elliptical circles, kind of like oval shapes. That's the best way to clean photography gear. It's also the best way to clean varnish tops. Just going to give it a bit of a turn, and I'll go over the body. I'll do the top, I'll do the sides all the way around. I'll even do the back of the guitar and the back of the neck. And you want to come up here and give this area here a go as well, get all the dust off that as well. Now there's quite a bit of stuff in here, and we don't want to get water inside these steel mechanics, so we're not going to use any water-based products in this area, so we don't want to get any extra corrosion. Instead of doing that, we'll use an oil. So the product I'm using for inside the machines and also for these crossing points here over the nuts and the saddle is this Music Nomad Tune-It. And you just feed a little tiny bit of it on and then rotate the keys so that it spreads this lubricant through, and it also helps with the strings passing over these points, but don't put it inside the peg area. Okay, here we go. Little dab on the brass roller. Oh, whoops, it's exploded. I'm going to spread that around. I'm going to grab that and move a bit on here. It's a bit of an old guitar, this one, so you can see that sometimes these rollers are actually jiggling. Spread a bit on here as well. And this will help it roll smoother and cause less damage and friction over time. Eventually they'll need to be replaced. No machine head lasts forever. And I might get another toothbrush and just sort of rub that around and spread it around so that it spreads over the whole peg. And then rotate the keys so that you're actually sharing it all through this tooth gear. Okay, so I've just finished cleaning and scrubbing the fretboard with that mild detergent. But even with just that mild detergent, you can see how automatically how much drier it is. And that's just from a bit of elbow grease, the toothbrush, and 2 drops of detergent. So if your guitar doesn't have all that 20 years worth of caked on grease, finger smudge, then you probably don't need to use the detergent at all. You can actually just use the hot water. And on this angle too, you should be able to see the pores in the wood, how they're opened up. So what I'm going to do now is just fill those pores especially with some oil, and you have to use appropriate fretboard oil. You can't really use just any oil. So sewing machine oil, bike chain oil, all that stuff. Whilst that's great for these mechanisms, these steel bits, that's not really appropriate for the fretboard of the guitar. And you can't use vegetable oil out of the kitchen either. It just doesn't work. Okay, so I'm just going to apply the oil. Just going to do a couple of drops on each fret. Look at it just soaking it up actually. It really is just soaking it up. It's really dry. Probably should have just used one lot of detergent, one drop of detergent. But that's okay. I've got this really good oil, so it'll restore really well. I'll just have to make sure it soaks in. It's actually soaking up all the oil I put in there. So I'm just going to make sure I really do cover it. And I'll go back over with a little sponge and spread the oil that's there around so that every part of the pores gets that lovely oil. So here's a sponge. Haven't used this one today, so I can use it for the oil. See, I'm just sort of spreading it over. Oh, uh-oh, there's something in there I think. Maybe I'll stop with that. Might just use the dry section of this cloth. Yep, found a dry bit. Spread the oil around. Make sure it's all over the fret. It's actually drying up a bit again. Oh, it's really thirsty. This guitar, being a school guitar, probably hasn't had oil treatment for its whole life. So this is its first re-oiling. So it's going to be generous. There we go. Got the dry section of my cloth. Spread it around very lightly. You don't want to rub it onto the cloth. I just want to use the cloth to spread it. There we go. Don't touch it. Just let it soak in. Probably for up to half an hour. Could be less. I often just leave mine for maybe about 10-15 minutes, but up to half an hour, and then you can. This one's already drying out. I can see it drying before my eyes, so I'll probably do one more coat, and then it'll be good.